Jules asked. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be an elephant? Magnus roared. An elephant doesn't care about spelling. An elephant walks through the jungle and knocks down anything in its way. Now, bark at me. Arf? Jules tried. Louder. B-R-R-R-R-R. Jules trumpeted, knocking over a lamp. Yes, go forth, Elephant Jules. Jules returned to the apartment a changed man. He marched into Chancellor Thorne's office. Thorne, I am not cooking your dinner. I am an elephant. My time is worth diamonds. If you don't like it, I'll tell the school board you use student labor for your private soirees. How do you like them peanuts? Thorne, stunned by the sudden transformation, stammered. Of course, Sterling. My apologies. By fair. Jules then turned his trunker. Attention to Bumblewick. Bumblewick, paint the kitchen, pay for the wallpaper, or I shall trumpet until your toupee flies off. Bumblewick was so terrified, he actually started painting, though he accidentally painted his own shoes in the process. The victory was short-lived. Jules's elephant persona became too much for Sloane and Breezy. Jack, stop trumpeting, Sloane snapped. We want the floral wallpaper in the bathroom. You want the one with the brown stripes. The elephant wants stripes, Jules roared. The elephant is going to be sleeping in the hallway if he doesn't shut up, Sloane countered. Jules paused. The BARK method didn't have a chapter on what to do when your roommates were scarier than a jungle predator. He sighed, his shoulders dropping. The floral pattern is fine. Elephants like flowers anyway. Chapter 5. The Penthouse Pipe Dream. Just as life settled, a mysterious man named Mr. Wormold entered their lives. Jules had saved him from choking at the salty sailor, using a technique he'd learned in a pamphlet, the Heimlich maneuver, though Jules called it the Sterling squeeze. You saved my life, Wormold cried. I am a billionaire. I own Paradise Towers. I want to give you and your roommates the 3-bedroom penthouse, rent-free for a year. The trio was ecstatic. They started packing immediately. They even invited Wormold over for a thank-you dinner of squab and creme brulee. Bumblewick, hearing they were leaving, was heartbroken, but tried to act tough. Fine, go. I have a waiting list of retired librarians. However, during dinner, Sloane's florist instincts kicked in. Mr. Wormold, you look so familiar. Didn't I see you choking at the Gilded Lily last month? Wormold paused, a spoonful of creme brulee halfway to his mouth. I have a very narrow esophagus. And didn't I see you fainting in front of a taxi on Tuesday? Breezy added. Wormold sighed. Okay, fine. I don't own Paradise Towers. There is no Paradise Towers. I just do this so people will buy me dinner. If I don't choke, I have to pay the bill, and I have no money. This way, everyone feels like a hero, and I get squab. He tipped his hat and vanished, leaving Jules with a massive grocery bill and 3 rooms full of packed boxes. Mr. Bumblewick, Jules yelled down the stairs. We're not moving. It was a test. To see if you'd miss us. Bumblewick, who had already started crying into a bucket of beige paint, looked up. I hate you people. But stay. The librarian had a cat, and I'm allergic to fur. Chapter 6. The Rose Scandal. The peace of Ashurkov was briefly interrupted by Uncle Leo. Leo was a confused elderly man Breezy had found wandering the docks. He has no place to go, Breezy cried. The condominiums took his home. He can stay on the couch, Jules said, his soft heart overriding his common sense. Leo was a nightmare. He snored like a chainsaw and insisted on sleeping on Jules's side of the bed because it was closer to the plumbing. But the real trouble started when Leo tried to thank them. He went out for a morning walk and returned with a massive bouquet of red roses for the lovely ladies. Leo beamed. Jules sniffed them. They smell like espresso? Bumblewick, Sloane whispered. These are his prize-winning midnight velvets. He waters them with coffee grounds. Suddenly, there was a frantic pounding on the door. Open up! My roses have been decapitated, Bumblewick shrieked. Into the closet, Leo, Jules commanded. They spent the next hour convincing Bumblewick that the rose thief was a rogue seagull with a refined palate. A seagull? Bumblewick asked, skeptical. A very large one, Breezy confirmed. With a plaid shirt, Leo eventually left to move in with two elderly women he met at the park, Alice and Lily. We're going to be roommates. Leo winked at Jules. And who knows, our relationship might be just as innocent as yours. Chapter 7. The Mountain Misery. The final chapter of the season took them to the mountains. Lenny, the Lip Laszlo, had convinced Jules to come to his boss's luxury chalet for a weekend of relaxation. It's a stone fireplace, Jules, a gourmet kitchen, and I invited a girl named Laura, who thinks you're a famous movie director. Lenny, I'm a cook. Just play along. You want to sleep, don't you? The mountain air is like a sedative. Of course, the chalet turned out to be a drafty shack with one bed and a hammock that smelled of wet squirrel. Sloane and Breezy showed up unexpectedly because their ride to the city fell through. Then Bumblewick and Tanya Vixen, the predatory neighbor, arrived, looking for wild strawberries. I am a director, Jules lied to Laura, who was draped in a fur coat in 80-degree weather. I'm looking for a woman who can play a tree. A very silent tree. The night was a chaotic rotation of bodies. Every time Jules tried to lie down, someone else was in the bed. Is that your elbow, Sloane? No, it's my knee. I'm in the hammock, Breezy yelled from outside. And I think I'm being watched by an owl. By morning, Jules had had 0 hours of sleep. He had been chased by Tanya, bitten by a squirrel, and forced to direct a commercial for Laura involving a cigar and a bucket of water. That's it, Jules snapped. I'm not a director. A chef? Laura screamed. I wasted my best fur on a fry cook? The trip ended with Jules accidentally wrapping himself in a blanket that had been resting in a patch of poison oak. As they drove back to Azure Cove, Jules scratching his arms and Bumblewick mourning his lack of strawberries, Breezy looked out the window. You know, guys, she said thoughtfully. This was the best weekend ever. Why? Sloane asked, exhausted. Because. Breezy smiled. It's finally over. Jules leaned his head against the glass. The neon sign of the Salty Sailor appeared in the distance. He was itchy, broke, and his roommates were insane. Home, sweet home, he whispered, and then he fell out of the car. The Sunhaven Shuffle, a novel of misunderstandings, burnt underwear, and tropical shirts. Chapter 1. The Curtain Call of Chaos. The morning sun over Sunhaven Bay didn't just rise. It announced itself with the aggressive cheerfulness of a morning show host. In apartment 4D of the Ocean View Terrace complex, the atmosphere was slightly less organized. Julian Jules Vance, a man who could turn a simple soufflé into a masterpiece but frequently tripped over his own shadow, was currently engaged in a battle of wills with a piece of floral plastic. Sloane, help me out here, Jules called out from the bathroom. BB is trying to hang the new shower curtain, and I think the curtain is winning. Sloane Whitaker, the sensible, sharp-witted florist who kept the household from collapsing into total anarchy, poked her head around the kitchen door. I'm busy, Jules. I've got something in the oven. Jules frowned. Since when did you start cooking breakfast? I haven't, Sloane retorted. My silk delicates are drying. The dryer is broken again, and Barnaby Bumble says he won't fix it until the lunar alignment is correct. Jules groaned. Barnaby Bumble was their landlord, a man whose fashion sense was stuck in a 1970s disco fever dream and whose grasp on reality was tenuous at best. Just hand me the rings, Bibi, Jules said, turning back to their third roommate. Bibi Nightingale was a woman of immense kindness and almost zero literal to figurative translation skills. She was currently standing in the bathtub, looking confused. I'm trying, Jules, but it won't reach, Bibi cried. You have to unfold it first, Bibi. It's not a magic trick. Jules laughed, stepping into the tub to help her. At that exact moment, the front door creaked open. He stopped dead when he heard the sounds coming from the bathroom. Okay, Bibi, Jules's voice echoed. Bumble's eyes nearly popped out of his head. He crept toward the bathroom door, his mustache twitching with scandalous delight. If you ask me, I'll show you what to do,